10 rules to completely reset your life in 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, before we talk about resetting your life, let me tell you something honest. Most people don't fail because they are not talented. They fail because they quit too early, complain too much, and think too small. A reset does not mean running away from your life. A reset means rebuilding it with better thinking. So as we step into 2026, here are 10 rules that can truly reset your life. Your past is a lesson, not a life sentence. Too many people wake up every day carrying old mistakes like permanent labels, believing that what went wrong yesterday has the right to control what happens tomorrow. But failure is not proof that you are finished. It is proof that you had the courage to try. Every attempt, even the ones that hurt, contains information. Life is not keeping score to punish you. It is quietly teaching you how to grow. When something doesn't work out, most people do one of two things. They either deny it or they let it define them. Both are dangerous. Denial keeps you repeating the same mistakes, and self-judgment keeps you frozen in fear. The smarter path is reflection. Ask yourself what the experience showed you about your decisions, your habits, your preparation, and your mindset. That reflection turns pain into clarity and disappointment into direction. Resetting your life does not mean pretending the past never happened. It means understanding it deeply enough that you no longer repeat it. Erasing your past is impossible, but learning from it is powerful. The struggles you went through trained your resilience. The rejection sharpened your judgment. The delays taught you patience. Nothing was wasted unless you refused to learn from it. Many people fail once and then spend years punishing themselves for it. They replay the same memories, the same regrets, the same if only thoughts until the past feels heavier than the future. But the truth is, the past cannot move unless you carry it forward. The moment you decide to treat it as a teacher instead of a jailer, it loses its power over you. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process. Every meaningful achievement is built on experiments that didn't work, decisions that were wrong, and paths that led nowhere. What separates people who move forward from those who stay stuck is not talent or luck, but their relationship with failure. One group learns and adjusts. The other quits and labels themselves. A real reset begins in the mind. It starts when you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what did this prepare me for? When you extract the lesson, the past becomes lighter. When you apply the lesson, the future becomes clearer. This is how setbacks quietly turn into stepping stones and how people rebuild their lives without needing permission from yesterday. The world doesn't owe you success, but it rewards value. Many people grow up believing that effort alone guarantees results, that good intentions should automatically lead to good outcomes. But life does not work on sympathy, it works on contribution. The marketplace, society, and opportunities respond to how useful you are, how reliable you are, and how well you solve real problems. Wanting success is common, becoming valuable is rare. Value is created quietly through patience and practice. It is built when you choose to improve your skills instead of complaining about your situation. No one is ignored because they lack dreams. They are ignored because they lack usefulness. When you focus on giving more than you take, doors begin to open in unexpected ways. People trust those who deliver results, not those who explain their potential. Too many people chase quick wins and shortcuts, hoping to be rewarded before they are ready. But the world is very fair in the long run. It may delay recognition, but it never forgets effort invested in growth. When you commit to learning, when you sharpen your abilities, when you show up consistently, you quietly increase your value. And when your value increases, your opportunities multiply. Instead of asking for chances, create reasons. Instead of demanding rewards, improve your contribution. Employers, clients, and partners don't look for perfection. They look for problem solvers. If you can make something easier, faster, better, or more reliable, you become hard to replace. This is how ordinary people build extraordinary lives, not by entitlement, but by usefulness. Once you understand this, frustration turns into focus. You stop wasting energy on comparison and start investing it in improvement. You realize that success is not something to chase, but something to attract by becoming better than you were yesterday. This shift changes how you work, how you learn, and how you see obstacles, because every challenge becomes a chance to increase your value in the world. Getting comfortable being uncomfortable is one of the most important skills you can develop. Growth rarely announces itself with confidence and clarity. More often, it arrives as doubt, fear, and awkward first attempts. The moments that stretch you are rarely enjoyable, but they are always meaningful. If you wait until you feel ready, you will wait forever. Comfort is attractive because it feels safe, but it is also deceptive. Staying where you are requires no courage, no learning, and no change. Over time, comfort quietly turns into stagnation. The things you avoid today become the limits you live with tomorrow. Progress demands that you step into situations where you don't have all the answers yet. Discomfort is not a signal that something is wrong. It is a signal that something is new. Every skill you admire once felt confusing. Every confident person you look up to once felt unsure. The difference is that they didn't retreat when things felt unfamiliar. They stayed long enough to adapt, learn, and grow stronger. Fear often disguises itself as logic. It tells you to wait, to prepare more, to avoid risk. But growth happens when action comes before confidence. Confidence is built through experience, not thinking. Each time you do something difficult, your tolerance expands. What once felt intimidating becomes normal, and what once felt impossible becomes achievable. When you accept discomfort as part of progress, failure loses its sting. You stop seeing challenges as threats and start seeing them as training. This mindset builds resilience, courage, and momentum. Over time, you realize that the life you want is usually waiting on the other side of the things you are most tempted to avoid. Discipline will take you where motivation never can. Motivation is emotional and unpredictable. It depends on mood, environment, and external encouragement. Some days it shows up strong, other days it disappears without warning. If your progress depends on how you feel, your results will always be inconsistent. Discipline, on the other hand, is a decision you make in advance. It does not negotiate with excuses or wait for the perfect moment. It acts because it must. Most people overestimate motivation and underestimate routine. They wait to feel inspired before starting, not realizing that action is what creates inspiration in the first place. Discipline works even when energy is low, confidence is missing, and results are not visible yet. It is the quiet force that keeps you moving when no one is watching and nothing feels rewarding. Over time, those small, disciplined actions compound into outcomes that look like talent or luck from the outside. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about being honest. It means doing what needs to be done, even when it is boring, uncomfortable, or repetitive. Anyone can work hard for a day. Very few can work steadily for months without immediate rewards. That consistency is what separates short-term enthusiasm from long-term success. Discipline builds trust with yourself, and that trust becomes confidence. When discipline becomes a habit, decision-making becomes easier. You stop debating whether to show up and simply show up. You stop relying on willpower and start relying on system. Life becomes less chaotic because your actions are no longer controlled by emotion. This stability creates momentum, and momentum makes progress feel natural rather than forced. Choosing progress over perfection changes how you move through life. Perfection promises safety, but it quietly delays everything. People wait for the right time, the perfect plan, the ideal conditions, and end up standing still while opportunities pass by. Progress accepts imperfection and moves forward anyway. It understands that clarity comes from action, not endless thinking. Perfectionism often hides fear. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough. So instead of starting, people polish ideas that never leave their minds. Progress-focused people do the opposite. They start before they are ready, learn as they go, and improve through feedback. They understand that mistakes are not evidence of incompetence, but part of learning something new. When you focus on progress, momentum becomes more important than flawless execution. Small improvements made consistently outperform perfect plans that never begin. Each step forward builds confidence, skill, and insight. Over time, those small steps create results that perfectionism could never reach because it demands certainty before movement. Progress also builds resilience. When you allow yourself to be imperfect, failure becomes information rather than a verdict. You adjust instead of quitting. You improve instead of hiding. This mindset frees you from the pressure of getting everything right and replaces it with the discipline of getting better. That shift changes how you approach work, learning, and risk. Controlling your time is one of the most powerful ways to regain control of your life. Time is the only resource that cannot be replaced, borrowed, or recovered. Yet most people spend it casually, reacting to distractions and demands without intention. When time is unmanaged, life feels rushed, unfocused, and exhausting. If you do not decide how your time is used, someone else will decide for you. Notifications, opinions, and endless entertainment slowly take ownership of your attention. Days get busy but not productive, full but not meaningful. Managing time is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters and letting go of what does not. Intentional time use forces clarity. You begin to see which activities move your life forward and which only fill space. You start protecting your mornings, limiting distractions, and creating boundaries. These small decisions create space for deep work, learning, and reflection. Over time, your days begin to align with your goals instead of working against them. When you respect your time, you respect your future. Each focused hour is an investment. Each wasted hour is silent cost. Time discipline reduces stress because priorities are clear. It builds confidence because progress becomes visible. Life starts to feel intentional rather than accidental, structured rather than chaotic.